Good morning. You're on KGAB.
Yeah, good morning, Gary. My name is Frank. I live in Basin, and I don't know if you guys have ever covered the attempt by Governor Mead to put a refugee resettlement center in Wyoming. Has that ever even been discussed?
You know, I've heard bits and pieces of that. That's not something I've researched. I don't even know for a fact whether it's true or not. It's something I have heard rumored. I don't know a lot about it, however.
Well, I have researched it extensively, and it is very true. In fact, I demanded from the governor's office, Policy Director Sean Reese is the person that you would contact, and what I was looking for was this letter that supposedly Governor Mead sent to the federal government, the ORR, which is the Refugee Resettlement Arm. And I have it before me. It's just really a couple of paragraphs. It takes 10 seconds. Would you like to hear it? Because you really need to know what's going on.
Go ahead.
All right. The letter is dated September 5th, 2013. It's to Mr. Eskandar Nagesh, Director, Office of Refugee and Resettlement in Washington, D.C. And it says, Director Nagesh, the state of Wyoming has elected to pursue a public-private partnership model of a refugee resettlement program and to participate in that program through the Office of Refugee Resettlement. This formalizes the work of many interested persons and organizations across many years. Wyoming will designate a refugee resettlement program coordinator in the near future. Until that person is designated, please contact my policy advisor, Merritt Thomas, to work through any logistics or questions. She can be reached at, it's got her phone number, and the phone number for this lady is 307-777-8206. Sincerely, Matthew H. Mead, Governor. Nobody asked me about having a refugee resettlement center. First of all, the United States has no money, period, none. We got veterans throughout the United States that come back from the Middle East broken. They're sleeping in the streets, under bridges and everything. Charity begins at home. This thing that Mead is doing, I've come to think that this governor, because he's indulging in this, didn't tell the people. His fixation with Common Core is more of a progressive and an arm for Barack Obama than anything else. I'm done with this guy. I want him out of here. Anyways, that's it, Gary. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. Good morning. You're on KGAB.
Good morning, Doug. This is Frank from the South Side.
Hey, Frank. What's up?
John Fafatakis called me the other day and left a message about this, and I haven't had a chance to call him back. But if anybody's got his number up north, they can give him a call. He's keyed into what this is. But the previous caller is basically correct as far as what I understood from John's message. What it boils down to is we're going through a replay of the American Revolution, where we've got a class of people that seek to serve the king, the Tories or the Loyalists, including our governor, our local politicians that are bribed with the king's money to do the king's bidding, versus us people who are paying the tariff on this, paying the taxes, not getting represented by the people that are supposed to represent us. So I see history repeating itself in a slightly different way, but basically that's the idea that it boils down to. So we've got to look back to the American Revolution and take a page from that on how we deal with it, because that was successful, and if we're going to be successful, we have to replicate what they did, maybe even down to the tar and feathers level. I'm not sure.
Well, before we get to tar and feathers, try voting for people that actually reflect your views would not be my advice, I guess.
Well, the trouble with that premise is with electronic voting machines, your vote really doesn't matter. They can rig it any way they want to. Anybody can rig it. I'm not saying the establishment. Anybody could rig it the way they wanted for whatever reason. We don't have paper ballots. We don't have secret ballots. We don't really have a right to vote anymore. If voting really mattered, they wouldn't let us do it at this point. But anyways, have a good one.
Thanks, Frank. And good morning. You're on KGAB.
Hi, Gary, this is Frank. You wanted more information on that story about the Refugee Resettlement Center here in Wyoming?
Right. Actually, this is Doug, but go ahead.
Okay. Yes, on Gary's program, I had read a letter that I was able to get, which I had to work fairly hard to get from the governor's office. If anybody wants to get that information, the letter was written on September 5th. And you can call Sean Reese, who is the governor's policy director, and tell him that you want it, that you want to see this letter that Governor Mead wrote to the federal government requesting support for establishing a refugee resettlement center here in Wyoming. The people who supposedly will be brought here are supposed to be black Congolese. That's from
the Congo.
The Congo, yes, they speak French. They're supposed to be Christians, but a lot of times this is mixed in with witchcraft and stuff. It's not a good thing for Wyoming. There's no money, and this is not an internet hoax or anything. You can actually get this letter. I've got the letter before me. Would you like me to read it?
Right, you read it before. We're just trying to clear up what the logistical situation. Are they actually in the construction phase, or is this planning, or where were we at here?
This is supposed to be happening next year. They're having a few snags, like people are beginning to wake up and they're saying, wait a minute, what the heck is this? You know, the people of Wyoming have not been consulted about this, yet the impact is going to be massive. Think about public schools, what's going to happen when you bring in a population of non-English speaking, how your kids are going to fare in that environment, because we've seen this happen in many places in the United States. Wyoming is the only state that does not have a refugee resettlement center, thank God. As such, it's the only state that really remains, I don't know, representative of what America is, should be, was. And I don't want to see this population in Wyoming. I don't want to see the cowboy state go the way of California and a lot of the others. So I think it's incumbent upon the people to realize what is being done. This is government through stealth. If they put in a refugee resettlement center in Wyoming, you know, a lot of our towns, they're like 10 people, 15, 20, 40, 1,000. This is going to obliterate some of the towns in Wyoming. I just can't believe that a governor would do something like this to his own people.
I appreciate the call. We've got people backed up on the lines, but thanks for calling.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Talk to you later.